Hey, welcome to the show where I talk about music, and that's really the whole conceit of it. I'm just talking about the music I've been listening to for the past month. Strap yourselves in, folks. It's going to be a pretty dry one. I'm literally just doing this video right now as I eat my dinner. Quality entertainment. So today we are going over to the music for the month of April, covering new releases and other stuff that I've just been listening to. There's a whole playlist in the description that you can listen to, as well as just links to everything individually that I talk about. I'm gonna zoom out the camera a bit. There. Isn't it great to see more of me? Wow, look at how defined I am. April, always an interesting month. At least where I live, it's kind of the first real push into spring. The weather is getting warmer, all of the snow is basically gone. Also, was anybody else's poop just really weird this month? I feel like that was a through line for all of the conversations I've had with friends in April. There would be at least one day with everybody where I'd be like, hey, how are you? And they'd be like, I'm not bad. My poop's a little weird though. What wonderful introduction. Always great at small talk. I'm doing fantastic. With that rousing introduction out of the way, let's talk about new releases for April. Olivia Rodrigo with Deja Vu. This was one of the first songs to really blow me away this month, and a lot of that definitely comes from her being an artist I didn't really expect myself to turn around on, definitely not so quickly. I was not a fan of Driver's License. I thought it was a bit limp as far as storytelling goes. It was massive news in music, this teenager just coming out of nowhere and grabbing a #1 hit off of her debut single. I say coming out of nowhere. That's untrue. She's a Disney actress affiliated with one of the largest media companies in the world. Gosh, she really came out of nowhere. But Disney actresses on shows for kids don't really break out into Billboard at #1 on their first single. And what they definitely don't do is mind their public drama with other Disney actors for that purpose. Part of the popularity of Driver's License was that it was a song aimed at her ex-boyfriend, who is a co-star with her. And Deja Vu, her follow-up single, is, I think, a much more poignant and kind of sensitive attack on that type of topic. Instead of her just waving around this driver's license you used to date me and I couldn't drive, and I'd be like, think of all the places we could drive when I have this. Deja Vu is a lot more of a biting song about not wanting to feel as if your impact on somebody's life is forgotten, expressed through the form of Olivia's ex getting with a new girl and kind of trying to relive the relationship that he had with Olivia with her, with the whole refrain are you getting deja vu? We used to do this thing, now you're doing this thing with her. Does she know? There's a lot more thought there, and the idea runs a lot deeper, and it gets sold a lot more with a change up on the second half of the track that brings in these fuzzy guitars, this Black Moth Super Rainbow type synth. Feels weird making that comparison, but yeah, that is genuinely what it most reminds me of. And these amped up drums that go way harder than any Disney princess has the right to be singing over. It's a pretty powerful track. It's in the vein of a lot of pop that has come before it. There's a lot of Lorde in here, there's a lot of Billie Eilish in here, but it's her second single, and lacking in her own sort of fleshed out sound at this point in her career. I'm impressed with just what she's able to do with this material. Fuck me, I guess. Am I excited for a Disney actress's album release now? I don't know. We'll see. I was certain that Olivia Rodrigo was going to be a one-hit wonder off of Driver's License, but no, I think this is a follow-up single that indicates that she might be here to stay. Next, Brockhampton, Roadrunner, New Lights, New Machine. This is a weighty release from Brockhampton. I talked about how Olivia Rodrigo was mining her public drama. This seems like Brockhampton going the opposite direction. After their big controversy in 2018 with having to kick out Amir Van, their album after that, Iridescence, felt like them just hastily trying to brush over the public drama in a way that kind of got responded to on Ginger, where the band was a lot more serious, admitting that the fame and the success that they've seen kind of fell flat in a lot of ways after all that controversy. And that, I feel, was all of the public drama that Brockhampton had the goodwill to mine. I feel like a lot of fans after that were looking for a more creative and a more tightly executed release from Brockhampton, and that is exactly what New Light, New Machine is. This album is stunning. This album is incredible. This album's way better than I expected it to be. The sound of this album definitely conveys a lot more of the American boy band aesthetic Brockhampton was trying to implement in their rap music, kind of coalescing a lot of different sounds and styles from across the country. A lot of influence from Southern hip-hop and 3 6 Mafia in particular lands on this album, but there's also a lot of G-Funk with its synthesizers. There's a lot of Midwest rap. There's a lot of Kanye instruments, motifs, and nods to different genres of hip-hop weave in and out of the production on so many songs. It's so colorful, it's so dense, and that's before even getting into the subject matter that they're talking about on this album. This is so much more political than I expected a Brockhampton album to be. Songs like Don't Shoot Up the Party, which may be the most concise and most hard-hitting political statement Brockhampton has in their catalog right now. It's a commentary on the landscape of gun violence in America, reflecting on how many black and queer spaces and just minority spaces in general have been the victims of such intense and immediate violence, done in the form of this really moody, intense banger with G-Funk synths and this really desperate cry on the chorus, "Don't shoot up the party! Please, please." It's a song that is really confrontational about why this has become an accepted norm in America, and how just the act of expressing yourself or trying to have a good time can be met with violence. It's such a disturbing topic, rendered unavoidably compelling by the way Brockhampton approaches it. There are other songs here too that are definite standouts, big group posse cuts like Windows or Bankroll, When I Ball, which is a sort of Kanye late registration era inspired beat with lyrics about growing up and becoming the person that you are now, Dear Lord, which is a desperate cry for just wanting some type of change in the world, and The Light, where Kevin and Joba go in depth into their own personal experiences of trauma, Kevin talking about homophobia and the relationship to his parents, and Joba writing very specifically and very soul-bearingly about the death of his father. People wanted a return to the Brockhampton saturation era with raw creativity, eccentric beats, and people got way more than they asked for with this release. This is definitely one of my favorite rap projects of the year so far. Apparently, this is only part 1 of the Brockhampton Roadrunner series. As fraught and as chaotic as the group's time in the limelight has been, with this I see Brockhampton hitting their stride, and hopefully the material to come from them is just as good as this album is, because my god, this blew me away. Like, I think it's incredible. Kero Kero Bonito, Civilization 2, new EP from the London... God, what genre even are they? House, big beat, PC music inspired, tongue-in-cheek club, but at the same time they're kind of punk, but at the same time the Civilization EPs have kind of brought them at least a smidge into IDM. Genre isn't dead, but they're currently being held hostage in KKB's basement. Not much to say with this one, as it is an extension of their previous Civilization EP. Definitely the standout song for me on this one was Well Rested, the 7-minute long closing track of the EP, which is this long, almost LCD sound system-ish kind of trudging dance song that has Sarah talking about what we perceive as the end of the world being just a rebirth. Kero Kero Bonito are always so fresh with whatever sound they're willing to explore, and I love how far the group has come since their beginning days writing a song about a dog versus a cat to their newest release right here, which is talking about, hey, maybe the apocalypse isn't so bad. I'm looking forward to more full-length projects from the group as time goes on, but these Civilization EPs have produced just unavoidably good material. Okay, other things I was listening to this month. Talk Talk, Laughing Stock. Their 1991 album very much became just a mood for me this month. I listened to this album, God, just an embarrassing amount of times, almost every day. A lot of the songs on here are really depressive, long, meditative pieces. I talked a bit about Spirit of Eden in my last monthly review. I described that album as being one composition that just flows from one song to the next. That's not entirely true. I kind of just got that wrong. The idea behind the final two Talk Talk albums were definitely a lot more grandiose in their song structure. Songs can go up to like 9 minutes long and just be riffing on this one repetitive motif, and on top of that you have solos and vocal interpretations from Mark Hollis, all coalescing into what seems just like an expansive world of sound. It's a very depressive album, definitely one that suited the time of a transition into spring. I mean, there's a song on here called New Grass. The album shifts from being manic on songs like Ascension Day to being mega depressive on songs like Taphead, to being kind of lodged somewhere in the middle. It's all really beautiful and elegantly paced music. I don't know, maybe I'll have more to say on it in the future. I also tried to get really into prog rock this month. The big two bands I was circling around were Gentle Giant and King Crimson, both from the United Kingdom. Both should be relatively well known to anybody who is a fan of the genre. The Gentle Giant album Octopus and the King Crimson album Lark's Tongues and Aspic stood out to me as my favorite prog rock albums I was getting in my circulation. Lark's Tongue and Aspic has a lot of like violin passages. It's a very dynamic album, almost to the point where it's like pulling a prank on you. Like, it'll be very quiet for like 6 whole minutes and then just barge in with these loud drums and guitars at like a moment's notice. It's kind of a distressing listen at first, but after you get a hang of the material, it's pretty rewarding. And then Gentle Giant's Octopus, the instrumentation on there is just bonkers start to finish. One of the songs, Knots, just has each of the group members going on this like vocal round with each other. All and in each man. Each man. You think that I do not know, but I do, and I am the man in the Gentle Giant band. The song A Dog's Life by Gentle Giant was the one that grabbed me most this month, detailing the role of dogs and just animal companions in relation to man, alongside this really elegant string section and these sort of playful guitar passages. I don't know, it's just something else. It's something that you're going to need to listen to for yourself to really understand the elegance of it. But yeah, this was music that wore me out after a while. I was listening to so much prog rock that I was like, I need something worse. I need stuff I can turn my brain off to. So if you see Little Big Sex Machine on the playlist, that's why. Hey, speaking of music that isn't as good, AJR was a band that infected my brain this month, and the last thing I want to do with this channel is like be a music snob, you know? Is look down on other people's taste in music and be like, huh, you listen to AJR? That's genuinely not what I'm trying to do here. There are many admirable qualities about AJR, and I want to say that up front, because for the rest of this segment, I'm going to be saying some not nice things about AJR. This band horrifies me. It's a band of brothers from New York, and the music that they write is often really grandiose, commercialized millennial pop music, but at the core of what they are making songs about is a psychology that just kind of horrifies me. The big song that grabbed me from them was Netflix Trip off of this album, The Click, which is this sort of like Road to Nowhere style, you know, odyssey of life. What is life and the many places that it takes us? All the things we know, all of the things we'll never know. Our only option is just to be along for the ride and have a good time. But the way that this song is framed is with extensive references to The Office. Like, he talks about his life, referencing what season of The Office he was on while major life events happened to him. Like, I fell in love in season 2 and I felt like Jim. It's especially horrifying when he goes as far as to talk about the death of his grandfather by referencing season 6 of The Office. My grandfather was on his deathbed while I was watching Scott's Tots. It's kind of a terrifying listen. Like, it's trying to be a song about life and all of its varying intricacies and all of the places that it'll take you, but it's coded in just a very real product. It's like Talking Heads' Road to Nowhere, brought to you by Netflix, and inversely kind of becomes this commentary on how like branded media has permeated our life experiences, but from the point of view of somebody who's like fine with it. It's like, who am I to tell me where I'm going? And it's like, your grandfather's dead and you're still going on about The Office as if that's the most important thing that happened in this song. I don't want to come across as if I hate this band, because while their music is definitely not for me, they have this ability to get under my skin in just the weirdest ways. They did, at the end of the day, get a very heavy emotional reaction out of me. Their new album's out. I haven't listened to anything other than the singles. If I can give AJR one thing, is that I think they're getting better with every release. This is an early album of theirs, and hey, it's not for me, but it did make an impact on me this month. That's not where I want to end things. I'm just going to shout out a few more releases that I thought were good. Serpent with Feet's Deacon was an album that came out at the very tail end of last month. I unfortunately recorded my March video before this album came out, and I had a chance to talk about it. I was excited to see where Serpent with Feet went on this project, being that their last project, Soil, was one of my favorite alternative R&B releases of the latter half of last decade. Very elegant, very quiet, very minimalist woodwinds, layered and intricate vocals from Serpent with Feet, and very lonely lyrics, very deprived of interaction, of sex, of relationships, of love. And this is a turnaround, as you might be able to tell from the cover. This is his great I Got the Guy album. With that, the production is less airy and less scared. It's a lot more what you would expect from a standard R&B album, which might make it a little less interesting, but I think the songwriting is still there overall. Hyacinth is a very compelling opener about the miraculous joy of finding love. Same Size Shoes, a very cool and quirky representation of queer love through an idea that I don't see explored that much, the sharing of wardrobe between partners, very much a queer sentiment. There's a decent amount of good material on here, and even though I didn't like it as much as their previous album, I'm still excited for where Serpent with Feet is going. Floating Points with Pharoah Sanders and the London Symphony Orchestra, another album that came out on the same day as that Serpent with Feet album. It's a very dense and very evocative album, one that kind of exceeds the format of this show. It's a minimalist composition that kind of runs through different movements, and each one brings in a new set of instrumentation to be soloed over this one steady, unchanging chord and drone. And of course, it's Floating Points and Pharoah Sanders, both of which pull off their compositional features and soloing with just immaculate results. One of the most evocative albums of the year so far. I can't say enough good things about it. Very experiential. It's something that you're gonna need to listen to from beginning to end. It's calm, it's ambient, and yet it's highly engaging at the same time. And lastly, Introvert, a new song from Little Simz, one of the best rappers working out of the UK, one of the best rappers working right now, period. Very orchestral, grandiose sound to this song with this big string and horn intro. Little Simz rapping about the socio-political state of the West right now, as well as just the struggles she faces in her own life, confronting death, confronting celebrity, confronting morality within herself. Please check out her music if you haven't heard any of it already. Gray Area was a fantastic rap album, and whatever she's cooking up with this new release is something that I am definitely excited for. And that's going to be it for April. Reminder that the playlist is in the description, as well as individual links to everything that I talked about here. I am planning on releasing kind of a big video later this month, but you know, I don't want to make any promises with that. So if you're new here and you made it this far, hey, might as well like and subscribe. What? Hit the bell. And be swell. Boy, is that a rhyme. Thank you for making it to the end of here. My name is Alexander Mitro, and you've been tuned in to 93.5 Friendship Station. I hope you have a lovely day.